Welcome back, one and all, to the AAOL presented by AOESports. It's Season 14, Week 2, and we've got some incredible matches coming up for you. I, of course, am Opara on the mic for you guys tonight, and we have Kerr joining me.
Hey everyone, I'm Stylo, or you can just call me Kerr, Koalas for Overwatch, and I'm happy to be here tonight, Opara. Thanks for having me, and thank you to the AOE team for having me tonight. We're in for a couple of good games, I believe.
Yes, absolutely right. This is going to be a very fun night for us all indeed. Just for everyone who doesn't know, if you're new here or not, this AOEL is a weekly casual tournament. It's generally a 10-week tournament, and each week is a round robin. It's the largest OCE Overwatch tourney. There are 50 plus teams. This is our 14th season, and you can either sign up as an individual or a team. If you do want to join, you can jump into the Discord or go see the website down below in the links. But so far, yeah, we've got 2 matches coming up. It looks like it's going to be a good one. Div 5 and Div 6. Our Div 6 team is going to be the first game that we watch tonight, which is going to be Divide Overflow versus Lag Pixies. And then our Div 5 game will be our second match, which is Allstars Orion versus Stylo Milos. Kerr, what's our map pool looking like tonight?
Well, as always, I mean, we have to start off on Control. Look, this time we'll be starting off on Nepal. And then from there, the loser pick will then go to a hybrid, so the loser will choose which hybrid map they want to play, and out of those hybrid maps, we've got Icon Wall and King's Row. Following that, we've got Escort, so we're moving into Escort maps, and the loser can either pick Watchpoint, Gibraltar, Route 66, and for the last map, we have Hybrid or Escort, because we don't play Assault anymore. And then if it comes to a map 5, we've got, well, Control, which will be held on Lijiang Tower. So, look, some really good map choices, I think, coming up tonight. I'm really excited to see some of these maps. I haven't seen them in a while, so I'm looking forward to it.
Absolutely right. Some very fan favorites, King's Row, Nepal, Icon with Lijiang Tower. I'm excited. And I'm excited to not have Assault anymore. It's just, that feels so relaxing. No more Temple of Draw Nubis. No more draws in general, which is going to be very, very kind to us. There will be potential draws on, of course, Hybrid, even the rare Escort draw, but hopefully nowhere near as many. Now, we'll just do a brief wee little run through of the teams that we're looking at here tonight. We have Divide Overflow versus Pixies. So starting off with Divide Overflow, they've got the tank duo of Rainbow and Casper. They then have their DPS lineup, which is going to be Overwatch player 01, also known as Sin, and Miniman 312. We also have Deluxe Wedges coming through and TWL245. And Kerr, would you like to run through Pixies' roster?
Oh yes, sorry.
No, you're okay.
There's an awkward pause there. I didn't like that. Now on Pixies, we have the tank duo. Sorry, is Pome NZ. Main tank, Letter 42, also on tank. For the DPS, we have I Am Zila and Helpless on the hit scan and flex DPS respectively. And for our support lineup, we have Big Boy and Ali. So, you know, it might. What do you think about these teams at Para? How do you think they're going to go against each other?
I'm very excited to watch these two teams go head to head. It does look like, well, once again, because they're in that same sort of SR bracket, it looks like we're going to have a pretty good face-off here. Both teams liking the Reinhardt, but it looks like there's a Zarya Diva difference here. So that could lead up to quite a bit of clashing in terms of Diva can take a lot of the damage that Divide Overflow are going to bring. Zarya can bubble things like Cassidy stuns, things like Echo, sticky bombs, those sorts of things. So it'll be really interesting to see how these two teams clash in terms of tank play, and then also in terms of their support play. They're opting to run the Lucio versus a Zenyatta, which that in of itself will be very interesting, having speed for your Reinhardt versus having a Discord orb.
Yeah, definitely. I think, you know, these are just obviously kind of speculations, but it will be interesting to see kind of like the favored matchups as we go in. You know, it's kind of it's an odd back really of heroes that we have here, but look, I'm just excited to see more Reinhardt. Reinhardt has been neglected for too long, and as we head into Nepal, I think, depending on the map, here on Sanctum, I believe, we might see more of sort of like a double shield kind of setup, maybe with Orisa looking for pulls, maybe the Hammond comes out, a little bit of ball action. But who knows, as the timer ticks down, we're about to see our team information here. What do you think is going to be run here, Opara? Like, just...
I feel like it's pretty classic. You either tend to run a Reinhardt kind of comp style or potentially that Winston comp style. However, we are seeing double shield come through by Divide Overflow. So that's going to be interesting to see how Pixies want to try and run over these two shields they're going to be facing.
Yeah, what Pixies have to do is they have to get their Lucio and they have to get their Baptiste, and they just have to run straight to the double shield. Meanwhile, Divide Overflow, they have to kind of play around this. They have to kind of turtle down in the corner of the point. They have to play around this big pit they've got here, as we see Pome and Zed charging in, looking for this as they take control on the left side here.
Yeah, that's a Metro turret, giving them immediate sort of presence, going straight around the high ground, trying to now sort of wrap around up to where Divide Overflow are trying to bunker up at the moment. This double shield is a lot slower without the Lucio, so it's going to be a bit of a struggle for them to try and get onto point here. Divide Overflow now trying to find a way to enter into point. However, Pixies just have perfect point presence. Early capture, the turret from Miniman taken out as well early, so that's just going to be a lot of like spam damage, non-existent. But it is just a bit of a poke battle right now. Weird! Wow! TWL just gets a beautiful 3K, removing Pixies from point.
Yeah, and that was really well played there as Divide Overflow kind of clean up that fight from TWL. Look, they fulfilled, I sort of want to say they fulfilled their condition, right? They kind of bunkered down, they kind of just poked for a little bit, and Pixies kind of had to just make a move, and they didn't make a move, and they kind of just suffered in the poke battle and inevitably lost. But we see here, they come speeding on the left side.
Yeah, they want to go in and go fast, but that Amplification Matrix is going to make it really hard with the Dragons coming out from Overwatch player. That is really going to just block off Pixies, and we see them collapse so quickly.
Nice little combination of ults there on the side of Divide Overflow. They used their ults well, they knew what ults they had, they utilized it well, but Pixies are already back. That's just how Control is. They're already back and hungry for more. They do have Pomenz's Shatter. I hope he hits something big. I just want to see a massive Shatter moment. TWL is coming up on that Transcendence though. So, as the two teams kind of square off, Pixies need to decide which route they're going to take. Are they going to just go fast point, or are they going to run straight into Divide Overflow? Looks like they're going to go fast point here. Moving along the right side. Oh, out of player 001 takes out Helpless.
Oh, losing Helpless early. That's going to make it really hard for Pixies to try and get through and just sort of spam damage from behind. And yeah, you see them, they're just calling, let's wait it out, try and get them back. However, they have now noticed Overwatch player 001 trying to find them, but has managed to get away.
Now Pixies trying again to kind of press the issue here. Oh, and everything's going down. Oh, that's a huge Graphitic Plus coming out. The High Noon also comes out from the Cassidy. However, Casper gets a couple, and Divide Overflow managed to clean that fight out. That was relatively clean.
This cheeky Lucio play by Big Boy trying to just get the back cap, but that's not going to happen. Casper just popped off right there with that flux.
Yeah, that was just really good use of ultimates here on the side of Divide Overflow. And Letter 42 tries to get to the point. They cannot. And, well, that's it. I mean, that was relatively clean. That was definitely very clean from Divide Overflow there.
Score.
Yeah, they may have given up the point early, but once they sort of executed their plan, like you said, that just was really a clean capture and a good hold. So, very impressive showing from Divide Overflow so far.
And this is just about knowing your team compositions and how to play to their strengths. Pixies look kind of lost there. What they really have to do is just kind of slam into the double shield with the Reinhardt D.Va pressure. They didn't manage to get it done. However, this time it's going to be, looks like it's going to be a Reinhardt D.Va kind of mirror. The Symmetra is there on both sides to help both teams get out of the ship. Sorry. Let's see if Helper sticks on the Symmetra this time, or whether they will opt to a different route as both teams here come charging out. Looks like both teams opt for the Symmetra May. It looks like it's going to be a bloody mirror battle on the point. Pixies.
There's going to be a big clash right here. TP's on both sides. Fire Strike comes out, but that Immortality gone early by Ali. That's going to make it really hard for the sustain of Pixies right now, as an Immortality will come out from Overflow when some of their players start to go low here. And it's just a sort of a point battle right now, trying to find that ball to block off Rainbow, and it works well. There is a responsible from Overwatch player, but Rainbow does fall. Now with that, Pixies needs to get aggressive, but with the frozen home, you can't do too much, and that is going to be Pixies starting to collapse. Helpless taken out, the DMAC comes through onto letter 42, and that is just going to be, once again, another clean sweep for Divide Overflow.
Look at the differences in ultimates. Not so much on the Baptiste of both teams, but Overwatch player 01, they have their Blizzard very soon. Miniman also has, you know, this Symmetra wall, whereas Helpless and I Am Zero, they don't have these ultimates on their counterparts. Letter 42 actually swaps off to the Zarya, maybe to get a little bit more poke into that Diva of Divide Overflow, but it's not looking good for this next fight for Pixies. I think they should try and maybe dry push this and hope that they waste some ultimates.
They throw out the fake tally and now opting to go both sides. Out comes the Amplification Matrix. The wall blocks it. Such a good wall, but followed up by the Photon Barrier. The Amplification Matrix is getting no value. Meanwhile, Casper and Rainbow just chase down Ali. Home does manage to finish off TWL, and this could be some hope for Pixies as they shatter onto point, but this Maywall coming through by Overwatch player once again shuts them down, and Pixies are going to be sent back to spawn.
I mean, that wasn't too bad for Pixies. They did use 2 ultimates there, but it was also met with 2 ultimates. Two ultimates on the side of Divide Overflow. So, yeah, not too bad, but honestly, they could have wanted more here. Helpless is coming up with this Photon Barrier. Big Boy does have the Sound Barrier. So, if there's going to be a fight that Pixies have to win, it's going to be this one. But at the same time, Divide Overflow is just waiting for them with all these ultimates.
Yeah, and there's the shatter straight away onto Zella. Zella does manage to stay alive. Amplification Matrix just to slow down Pixies, but the Sound Barrier is going to give Pixies a little bit more hope in this fight. Home is getting frozen up, and that's going to slow down the push. But with Zella taking out Deluxe Witches, that might be good. However, no! Overwatch player takes out Home, and with no more Zella, there's 2 seconds left to try and get some kind of touch, and it is going to come down to the big boy, Lucio, on point, gets frozen up by the Blizzard. That is going to be our first map on the pool going to Divide Overflow.
Yeah, relatively clean. Not just relatively, very clean. I'm going to say from Divide Overflow here, and I'll talk about it after this play of the game. I'm pretty sure, yeah, it's going to be the TWL special. I mean, 3 picks right off the bat. Wasn't that amazing?
This was just such a beautiful play. Look at that, just straight down the line with the help of the Orisa pull as well. That absolutely unlocked point and essentially gave Divide Overflow what looked like a nice, easy, dominant win on first point.
Yeah, and as I was saying earlier, it just comes down to knowing your compositions and executing it properly, which is probably the most important, you know, kind of aspect of Overwatch in terms of the ranked scene. Divide Overflow, they were running this kind of like double shield composition, which as I mentioned earlier, you have to kind of bunker down in the corner and just play for the poke. Pixies, they had the Lucio, they had the Reinhardt, they had all the tools in the world to kind of get on top of Divide Overflow, but they just couldn't execute that. And so, you know, we saw a relatively easy win for Divide Overflow because as soon as you take like control of the point first, your ultimates are just going to be cycling better. You're just going to have better coordination. You're going to have more confidence going into the next fight, etc., etc. Right. So moving on to point 2, what we kind of saw there was more of a... It was Divide Overflow taking the mirror to Pixies and saying, look, we know that we're better, right? We know that we're better here, so we're gonna use our ultimates better. We're gonna cycle out through everything better and just force you out of the point, which is basically what we saw happening. So as we move into something like Kings, where I'm expecting Divide Overflow to be very dominant here, especially with these brawl compositions.
Yeah, I think Divide Overflow definitely showed us that they know how to hunker down and sort of, especially hold a point. So if they can do that first point of King's Row, this could be a potentially easy win for them. Pixies, they seem to like their map rotation a bit. If they can utilize that well, they might be able to push through and catch Divide Overflow by surprise. But even just watching Divide Overflow on second point, there was this one point where they set up the Symmetra tally so they could quickly be at either high ground or on point, whichever way Pixies wanted to push. So if Divide Overflow continues thinking that far ahead, it's going to be real interesting to see how Pixies are going to try push through. and whether something like a Diva comp versus Zarya comp might work, or if we do see another mirror match, it's just going to be very interesting how Pixies are going to try to take this.
It's just about, as I was saying earlier, this preparation that is kind of evident from the side of Divide Overflow. Like, what we saw there, as you were mentioning with the teleports, that's not just like a spur-of-the-moment play. That's kind of like a team leader, in-game leader play. That's a prior decision to be made in terms of thinking about these setups. So it's really interesting and cool to see these teams putting in this thought about, you know, rotations. How are we going to match the other team, etc. What did they push this way? What did they push that way? You know, that's really awesome to see. As we move on to King's Row for our second map, and well, looky, Reinhardt again. Excitement central.
Oh, we love Reinhardt, and we love King's Row here on AOE as well. It's just such a classic map. I don't think we ever not see King's Row when it's in rotation, so it's going to be exciting to watch. I don't think Letter 42 is going to run the Orisa, but if they are, that'll be an interesting way to attack. I think they're just showing us some little fun characters. There's a Zarya coming out. We'll see what they finally decide upon as 10 seconds counts down.
Zarya is definitely, I think Zarya is my favorite choice for this. You just beam everyone. It's so fun. Looks like there's going to be a little bit of a dragon grab action from the side of Pixies. Meanwhile, Divide Overflow looking at the Reaper main rush. That's a throwback, a little bit of a throwback.
Yeah, this was a big comp in the Overwatch League, so let's see if they make use of it, and they do! Casper immediately removing Pome with a very helpful Mabel to start it off, and yeah, immediately Pixies know, let's pull back, we don't take this without Pome.
Just gets melted there. Now Pixies kind of have to reevaluate how they're going to play this. We see Helpless kind of sneaking behind the back lines a little bit. They're going for it. So that's kind of their win condition. A little bit of poke, wait for the grab, wait for the dragon, wait for the EMP, and then they just win every fight.
Out comes a wall, but the amplification matrix is more important to try and pump in damage. Meanwhile, Pixies, they know not to play too close to it to not take a mad amount of damage, but the Fire Strike through it removes Letter 42. So much damage from a Fire Strike through an amplification matrix. Another Fire Strike now onto Pome. This is just going to be a tough push for Pixies without your Zarya, but they are going to try and commit, and Pome is going to get frozen up and punished for it. The immortality comes through, but not enough to keep him alive. And now with that amplification matrix getting absolutely just forgotten about as Divide Overflow push, that looks like another hold.
Pixies kind of getting a little in their heads a little bit too much. What they just need to do is kind of just step back, calm down, and say, look, we've got these ultimates ready. We're going into this fight. We're looking for this grab dragon, and we're going to hit it. And if they hit it, we're going to win. Even if they do have Blizzard, even if they do have Reaper Roll, we can just grab dragon and just win this entire point. So let's see what they can do here. They're kind of just playing around. Nice hack there onto the Diva. Oh, that's a big grab.
With the sound barrier as a response, Diva does get demixed. Oh, what a big EMP! That removed all the sound barrier health, and that meant those dragons were going to clean up. That was a lot of ultimates committed, but a lot of good value to get a full win.
That's just how Pixies comp works here. It's just the big Q press, I like to call it, as a comp, because everyone just spams Q and they suddenly win the fight. And, you know, there's not much that can be done on the side of Divide Overflow. Sure, they could have engaged earlier with their ultimates, but in reality, dread it, run from it, the grab is going to come. If Casper was a little bit fast with the defense matrix, maybe they would have been able to, you know, kind of stop that push, but here come Pixies, and they've got a little bit of momentum behind them.
Yeah, they're getting aggressive here, and this is so smart. You want to make as much space as possible for this payload to push. It looks like this is as far as their aggression is going to go. And once again, I think that's a smart call.
Yeah, definitely the last thing you want to do is just over-commit and then find yourself taken down, and then suddenly the enemy team has choke control, and it's all gone sideways. Oh, hello, mini man. Going on a little bit of a flank there.
Let's see how that works. Yeah, that's going to be a Death Blossom. Oh, dropped a little bit early, trying to get behind Letter 42. Self-destruct, gets blocked by the shield, but Big Boy does fall to it. There's the Death Blossom from Mini Man, taking out 2, and Pome fell to Lucio at the same time. So that's just going to be a full team wipe and hold.
Yeah, it's well played there by Divide Overflow. Fortunately, they probably pressed Q a bit too hard there, and now Pixies are going to come back in. 3 minutes remaining. Couple ultimates at their disposal. Pome is angry. He's mad. He wants this shadow. And Rainbow knows this. So Rainbow, keep your eyes on Rainbow and Pome this fight, because it's going to be an intense Reinhardt kind of battering. Hopefully, oh, the window comes out here.
Oh, that's a smart amplification matrix. Hopefully they can break the shield with it so that there's no block for the shatter. Pome is looking for it, getting up onto the payload, just trying to see where's the best place to drop this shatter. But so far it's just a fight of attrition here, trying to see what wins. The shatter comes out, only connects onto Lucio, but that could be enough. But with the amplification matrix, Rainbow is able to remove Pome. There was so much damage responding to that slow fight, and because of that, amplification matrix wins the day.
By Allstars here on the Baptiste. Unfortunate, you know, it's kind of I'm gonna say wasted a little bit, you know, because that's kind of what happened there. He's back on, they're back on, sorry, 50% ult charged already though, and here comes the grab drag in this fight for Pixies.
This is going to be once again that win condition button you were talking about. Later trying to find a good place to put it, but it looks like there's a bit of split up. Divide Overflow, they throw out the first dragons, but the sound barrier is just going to keep all of Pixies alive here. There's the grab, trying to break the immortality. There goes the immortality, it removes 2. That's another good grab dragons, and now it's just about cleaning up these remaining few stragglers with an amplification matrix coming out by Deluxe Wedges. It's only going to stall out the fight a little bit. I think even with the loss of Pome, it should still go the way of... Maybe never mind.
Watch player 001 here, absolutely popping off. Look, that application from Deluxe Wedges was kind of a Hail Mary, but it worked out in their favor. The Hunter arrow flies true, and Divide Overflow kind of get lucky. I'm going to say they get a little bit lucky, but also on the back of Overwatch player 01 clutching up. I mean, it's not really luck, is it? But here, Helpless has this EMP, Allstars has this window. If Pixies are going to make things happen, it's also going to be here again. And 9-0 dies. Back to spawn. Okay, maybe not now. Give it 30 seconds. We'll wait 30 seconds.
They need a bit of breathing room before they can push in, you know. They really just want to build up some more ults. Oh no, I'm losing Helpless.
He was waiting. He knew. They knew. That's alright.
This is desperation now for Pixies. They have to come up with something quickly, and it's going to be this EMP here. Helpless is searching for it. They've got it ready. Out comes the amplification matrix. There's the EMP. Doesn't connect onto the Death Blossom behind, so Zella does fall because of it. Helpless dies to a good headshot from Overwatch player 01. That leads to another Dragon Strike coming out, and it's going to finish off Letter 42. This is the last fight territory for Pixies now. They're going to be rushing to find something.
They're going to be desperate now. Everything has not gone all right. Deluxe Wedges once again has his amplification matrix. This guy is a monster on the Baptiste, man. He's a 3. They've had like 3 Baptiste on screen. Amplification matrix here as Pixies pushing in again. Oh, looking for something. Oh, the shadow is Rainbow. Oh, I don't know.
Rainbow with an absolutely gigantic shatter. That's going to remove Pome. This is desperation hour now for Big Boy as they're desperately trying to find something to keep this fight alive. They respond with the sound barrier of their own. Sound barriers on both teams, but with that Dragon Strike, that's going to zone out any sort of touch, and their overtime's going to burn down with a pretty solid hold for Divide Overflow.
Look, Divide Overflow there, yeah, they just played their ults better. I think that was just a whole round of playing ults better, engaging better, just in general. And Pixies did have that big, you know, time where they had all their ults and it was looking good. They got a couple picks, but then you know, the clutch up comes from Divide Overflow. And what can you do if your Pixies in that moment where someone's just, you know, they've just outskilled you as a team? So you can't really do much.
Yeah, that was just really solid plays by Divide Overflow. Even just like when they were losing that ultimate fight, Overwatch player 001 just coming through and clutching it up, getting some really solid kills, utilizing the little resources, those desperation resources from Deluxe Wedges, the amplification matrix. You know, it's not a lot, but if you can make it work, you can turn what looks like a loss into a win, and that's what Overwatch player 001, also known as Sin, is teaching us right now.
Yeah, it's a game where even if you're 2 players down, it's winnable. I mean, that's the mantra you like to go into your ranked games with, right? It's winnable. Yeah. It's always winnable, you know? PMA, haha. Don't worry, guys, we're 4 players down, it's still winnable. No,
we'll just keep trying, yeah.
It's all about the mentality.
Exactly.
Here, Divide Overflow, getting ready to kind of burst out the gates. They have their rush composition down, placed a Mei with a Hanzo. That's alright here. Meanwhile, Pixies have this quasi double shield composition with Torbjorn. That's an interesting one.
Hopefully they can make it work, as it looks like Divide Overflow, they just want to rush straight through the Elderworth Hotel into their backline, removing Helpless. There is no more Torbjorn. However, Miniman did find a fire strike to the back from Pome. Because of that, this is still quite an even fight. The spawn does favor Divide Overflow right now, so they will get Miniman back a little bit earlier. So we do need to see Pixies find a couple more picks, but the aggression is difficult when you find Overwatch player coming in behind, getting a good shot onto Big Boy, and that Rainbow's going to respond, taking out Pome, getting the fire strike onto Evastachio, and that is just a very quick team right. And now Pixies are going to be sweating.
Man, that's the difference that Lucio makes to your compositions. Right, you just, when you have Lucio, you just have so much speed, you just have so much utility to be able to jump over the team, which is what Pixies did not have. Oh, that's a dirty dragon there from Overwatch player 001. You can't avoid that. That's a spawn dragon. You hate to see it.
That was brutal, but now look how much value they've got, Curse. They've got all this point presence. They're committing Amplification Matrix. They want to get these kills. Leader 42 being removed. They don't want to even give Pixies a chance to defend this payload, as it's now starting to push its way through. It might come down to Helpless on this Tracer, trying to stall it out if worst comes to worst.
Yeah, Zila's Cassidy does have Deadeye. It is being chunked a little bit down by Overwatch player 001. They need this damage negation from Letter 42. That's what they needed. For this Hanzo, I mean, this Hanzo, he's already got dragons again. They've already got dragons again.
Yeah, this is really impressive. This is good aggression coming through by Divide Overflow. Deadeye with the nano comes out, but the dragons get eaten by Letter 42, which means that Casper is popping off right now. A huge self-destruct. The double remake kill wins them the match. Casper was on fire. Casper ate a Dragon Strike, threw out a self-destruct to get a kill, and decided, I'm not done, I'm gonna remake and take 2 more. What?
No. Oh, what did I just watch? That was insane. I mean, shout out to Poe. Even though they didn't, his team didn't follow up on his shadow. It was still a massive shadow, as we saw the nice play there from Zilla. I mean, Home hits this big shatter, no follow-up. Remo comes back, hits the shatter, it's over. And then the bomb comes down from Casper, and it's like, even more pain. And then the remake, yeah. It's just beautiful. Beautiful what we're seeing from Divide Overflow here. I mean, Overwatch player 001 just absolutely popped that map. They just hit everything. I think no one was safe from the Hanzo. But I think that's what the difference is slightly as well from Divide Overflow and Pixies, because, you know, Pixies, Zilla and Helpless, they're just kind of there. They haven't really, you know, popped off as much as probably they'd like. But, you know, on the side of Divide Overflow, we're really seeing these individual players step up, you know, kind of creating these opportunities. And I believe going into Route 66 does that.
Yeah, jumping into Route 66. Hopefully, I'm guessing this is once again another sort of comfort fit pick for Pixies right now. But hopefully they can find some kind of mental boost, a little bit of mental fortitude, and see whether they can bring some kind of reverse sweep right now, because realistically, they need to find some way to break through Divide Overflow. And you can kind of play this war of let's just build ults and push through, but when Divide Overflow can have Overwatch player completely pop off and just get a couple of kills and shut down your big plays, that's where you get into some really uncomfortable waters. So hopefully they can find something to break through this defense.
Let's remember that the mental toll of losing this badly so far for Pixies is probably going to be also really high. So right now they're struggling through an insane team of Divide Overflow. And they're also struggling through the mental break of going 2-0 down. Oh no, we're going to lose this match. Oh, you got to fight back. This is the time where your mental has got to be the strongest. See them coming out on this Torbjorn. They like this Torbjorn for Helpless. Helpless's little Torbjorn is a staple. Meanwhile, Miniman also pulls out the Torbjorn on the side of Divide Overflow. So it's interesting to see which of these compositions will prevail. Double shield coming out from Divide Overflow, however, so a little bit more sustained, should I say.
Yeah, they can. Wow! Oh my gosh, TWL once again just popping off on the Zenyatta. Pome didn't even see it coming there. That's so unfortunate. Pixies now going to have to regroup again.
Yeah, just a little bit more of a poke to Pome's shield. So they couldn't really come up with anything there, Pixies. So what they have to do is kind of just try and like turtle under the gas station so that Divider can't shoot. See, Pome's shield already going down so low.
And that's where Orisa and Sigma come through so well. They can just poke, and the poke takes out Big Boy. Miniman working so well at just making sure they get those kills. Everstachio falls. There goes Zella, Overwatch player, just doing what they do best now, and that's getting kills.
And I think Pixies, if they want to make this composition work, they kind of have to move on to something speed-oriented so they don't take as much damage. And as I say that, Big Boy switches onto the Lucio. Maybe they're hearing me through some sort of magic, but you know, the Lucio definitely is a solid pick here. You know, getting your team speeding up. They're back on the Baptiste. Okay, they didn't listen to me. Uh-oh. Now I look like a fool. It's fine.
Or maybe they did hear you, but they heard that we knew they heard, so they swapped off to make it look like they didn't hear. This is big mind games coming through.
The long con.
Here we go. I like this rotation. Underground, but the pulls from Orisa right there. Rainbow just working so well. Breaks Pome's shield. And they're just so uncomfortable right now. They don't know where to play. They finally got an in under the gas station, but can they keep it going? With a stun coming through by Overwatch player, Pome's falling really low, and Big Boy's desperately trying to keep the heals back. And there goes Letter 42 and Helpless, and now it is just going to be Divide Overflow dropping to combat with a little bit of Molten Core.
A little bit of molding going on. I don't know if anyone saw, but Helpless and Miniman were 1v1ing Torbjorn in the back there of the theater as the rest of the team fight was going down. It's pretty entertaining to watch the little guys go against each other now, but Helpless does have this Molten Core coming up. Maybe they can make something work. Pome does have the Shatter. Maybe they can catch someone out here and push their advantage a little bit here, Pixies. However, I feel like they just need the speed, even though the Amplification Matrix is here and the Turbocharger goes out, interestingly enough, from Divide Overflow. So the Pixies are just going to hide in this little cave until it's done. Yeah, a little 15-second picnic.
Absolutely. You don't want to take it when they... Well, I say that and they go out while the Supercharger's going. The net... Oh my gosh! What a good flux. Deadeye, Overwatch player, taking 2 more to their name. They're loving just raising their elimination count right now. And now, you've got to be feeling really stressed if you're Pixies. You don't know what to do. Every attempt at a push has been failed. What do you do here?
The spaghetti is dropped. Big Boy has finally heeded my advice somehow. They've heard me through the astral plane, and now the Lucio has come out for Pixies. They have a little bit more speed now, they can move as a unit, and maybe they can take the fight to this double shield composition, or you know, they can just speed under the gas station without any of their members dying. That's a nice suck though from Rainbow. Casper is good with those rocks.
That was such a good pull. Letter 42 desperately trying to keep the fight alive. Throws out a self-destruct and removes Miniman. But with that Transcendence, it is going to mean that Divide Overflow stay alive for a little bit longer. Long enough for Overwatch player to remove Big Boy. And now it's really scary for Pixies. They're just desperately trying to push through. Pome throws the Shadow out. Manages to take out TWL. And Casper falls in the meantime. There's only a few left for Pixies as they try to take this push. Divide Overflow got 3 remaining players to keep this still going. It's a 3v3. Letter 42 doesn't even have their mech. They're going to try throw a Deadeye to just zone the remaining players off. The Molten Core tries zone even more players off with the Amplification Matrix. And now with only Everstachio there, this is really hard for Pixies to try and even touch this point. Pome's trying to come back, but they can't get the touch. Wow.
You know, for a last-ditch attempt at pushing a point, that wasn't a bad attempt from Pixies at all. That was, you know, that was just throw the kitchen sink at it and hope something sticks, and it nearly stuck. The spaghetti was nearly not dropped, but unfortunately, I think Divide Overflow just knew their win condition in that last fight especially, just a little bit better than Pixies. We saw the Cassidy High Noon come out from Zella, so 3 of Divide Overflow just kind of ran from that, and they just waited it out. They kind of zoned the Deadeye out, but then they re-engaged really fast with their own, I believe it was their own Immortality Field, their own Molten Core, and they just got bodies on the point. And from then on, it was kind of just game over for Pixies, unfortunately. And, we'll see what they can do on their defense, however, Pixies. The Rhine Zarya is coming out, Letter 42 opting for the Zarya. Look, if if it's gonna work, I'm not gonna say anything, but I think they should stick on Zarya. I think Pixies should stick on Zarya. I think, you know, the D.Va game is not as strong as Casper and Rainbow right now, unfortunately, but, you know, it'll be interesting to see if they can hold better than what Divide Overflow did.
I mean, that's what they have to do. They have to hold better at this point. There's no other option. If they don't hold better, they Divide Overflow take it for tonight. So this is all it comes down to. Pixies desperately trying to make sure they do not let this payload go all the way to the end. And I like this positioning, you know, trying to fight up close and personal to slow down the push. But Overwatch player already behind Pome, and Pome just gets caught out so quickly. Even though Miniman's been taken out by Zella, it doesn't matter. Without that main tank, without the Reinhardt support, your team is just falling over one by one, and that is exactly what we see.
Let's keep it going.
Bleeding from Divide Overflow, there's not much more that can be said. Apart from that, Pome got a little bit separated from their team, and then, you know, it just kind of went downhill from there. So, yeah, there's not much Pixies could have done after Pome falls, but now it all relies on this re-engage. Big Boy is on the loose here. They have the speed. Can they bring the fight to Divide Overflow in this way that I want them to?
That's exactly what they're going to try and do. Just take it head on. Pome is already dropped, and it's going to force the rest of Pixies to drop too, but Pome gets taken out so quickly. The charge through by Rainbow removes Evostachio, and now Pixies, I don't know how they're going to try and find some hope left alive. It's going to come down to letter 42, but they get demech'd, and Death Blossom in the face.
Oh dear me, Pixies, it's not looking good. They've got no ultimates, they've got no time, they've got no people on the point. It is over. This match is one and done. As Divide Overflow pushed that final point on Route 66. That was a sweep. I think that's the definition of a sweep.
That was brutal. Divide Overflow just looked so strong. They didn't look like they had sort of any sort of bad bone in their body right there. Every player executing their task to a T. I mean, obviously, Overwatch player, they got like 4 or 5 kills in this fight. They were nasty. They were so good. And so when it comes down to just pure aggression like Divide Overflow brought, it looks like Pixies couldn't keep up with it. And it does look like in Route 66, Pixies' mental sort of fell over a little bit. They definitely put up a good fight, and they gave it their all. But I guess it comes down to the question of the shot calling from Divide Overflow. What were they calling that just made it superior to Pixies? I wish I could get into their voice chats, right, and hear their shot calling.
Yeah, and I definitely think it's just a result of being A, prepared, you know, B, understanding how the compositions work, and C, understanding how to adapt around it. Like, my favorite word, and I've said this many times across various casts, but is adaptability, and that's what Overwatch is all about. It's just a massive game of rock, paper, scissors, right? The more adaptable you are as a team, and the more understanding you have of the game at its value, as base value, is really important to winning these duels against other teams. And now Pixies here, they didn't, I hesitate to say didn't, but they kind of were a little bit obstinate in their understanding of, you know, how these compositions kind of worked out, and therefore I just guess it didn't work in their favor. I'm not necessarily calling anyone out, but I think it was just, you know, a little bit of a preparation diff, if I'm going to say anything.
Yeah, absolutely. And with that, Divide Overflow do take the W3-0. Very well played to each and every player that participated. It looks like we're going to jump into a wee little short break before we jump into games 2. So don't go anywhere. It's going to be a good night. We've got another game planned for you. So we'll see you shortly. Welcome back, everyone. We are now back for our game 2 of the night. Thank you all for your patience as we get these teams together. We're returning after what was a very, very quick game between Divide Overflow versus Lag Pixies. This is going to be, once again, another fun match. We've got Division 5 coming up, so we have our two teams going head-to-head of Stylo Milos versus Allstars Orion. And the first thing we'll do is we'll just run through these teams that we've got, starting with Stylo Milos. We have, once again, 6 players. We're still in Overwatch 1, unfortunately. Starting off to lead the main tank line, we have Illusion, and their off tank is going to be PJ. They look like they like to run this Rhine Diva sort of play style. Following up on the DPS will be Jackal on the hit scan, opting to look at Cassidy. Meanwhile, we've got Ski Savan, who is their flex DPS on that Hanzo. They've got Little Too Easy, who is going to be running Lucio, most likely. And then ASR running the Baptiste. A little bit of info on Stylo Milos just as we get into it. The returning core members, there are 3 members who are PJ, Jackal, and Ski Savan. They've been playing together for more than a year since their last AAOL adventures back in GG Andromeda. They went 1-4 throughout the division. They definitely gave it their all. They've got some new additions to the team with new synergy built over ranked games and scrims, so they're hoping to demolish their previous record. PJ was the previous coach of Andromeda and has taken the challenge of playing off tank for his team, continuing to be the coach, while Savan was a previous tank player / support, has now transitioned to the DPS role. And finally, Jackal remains on the DPS role from his previous team. Kerr, what does All-Stars Orion look like?
Well, let's just go through the members of All-Stars right now. On tank, we have Arctic Wolf and Fungasm. For the DPS line, we do have Etsy and Hypeme. And then for our support line, we have Ro and Helios. You can see their favorite heroes just kind of plastered there. I'm position with all 6 of these heroes in, but you know, who knows? You know, anything could happen. Just a little bit of info about this team. They've been playing together since Season 13, Stage 2. Well, there have been some player changes since then. They were originally known as All-Stars Hercules, and new players in Season 13 Stage 2 had voted and changed the name to All-Stars Orion, so a little bit of lore, a little bit of deep lore there for you. As we move into this game, hopefully it'll be a close one in contrast to the last one, but who knows? You know, it's exciting to think about what's about to happen. Now, just back to your point, I was just thinking, Farah, as you were saying, we're not in Overwatch 2 yet. The toughest decision that these teams will have to face, probably as we walk into Overwatch 2, is who are they gonna cut? You know, it's gonna be 5v5. Who's gonna go out?
Yeah, that's going to be a tough one, as always. I mean, obviously, both these teams, they're so used to running six members. There is going to be a tank that disappears. Whether it becomes, that tank just becomes the permanent backup player or something, who knows? But yeah, it's going to be an interesting style when we get to Overwatch 2. Fortunately, or unfortunately, whichever position you sit on, we're not there just yet. It's gonna be a bit of fun. Now, just quickly, we'll recap the map pool for you all, just so it's fresh in your memories. We're going to be starting off, obviously, on Control on Nepal, and there will be a loser's choice between Eichenwald or King's Row for Hybrid. We're going to go to Watchpoint, Gibraltar, or Route 66 for Escort, and then no Assault, so Hybrid or Escort if we need it for the 4th map, and then Control on Lijiang Tower if we really need it to finish off the night. But here we go, jumping into Nepal. What do you think we're going to see any differently, if any difference at all?
I mean, this map in particular, in Village, you're going to want to see some Reinhardt, you're going to want to see some Lucio. I feel the teams here are very key to that. Jay and Arctic Wolf respectively. Sorry, the word escaped my mind. Meowers. I don't think Meowers was on the team list, but Meowers is in on the Doomfist. Fist is I'm down for a little bit of Doomfist action, but you know, pretty stock standard so far. A little bit of a rush composition for both of these teams. So let's see how they can play around it. See how they can play around the Doomfist, most importantly of all, because that's the most important piece in this puzzle right now.
Yeah, getting that Doomfist to just get those quick picks, hopefully remove a couple of the players from Stylo Milos just to really quickly roll them over. That is going to be the goal here. This Maywall, however, blocking up All-Star Orion could have worked out well, but both supports removed very quickly here, and now Arctic Wolf going to get aggressive to just confirm this first fight win.
The Doomfist, that's just the Doomfist difference. Meow has jumped in the back line, got a pick off, and then from there it was a 6v5, kind of snowballed into the favor of, I believe it's All-Star Orion. Yeah, both teams here just trying to figure out each other out, and you know, as Stylo Milos comes back in for a recontest, it'll be interesting to see how All-Stars Orion kind of respond.
Yeah, and here we go. These are Metro turrets getting set up so perfectly to make sure that if you go through, it's going to be a bit of a car wash to try and shut you down. But so far, I like the slow and steady wins the fight sort of play style of, you know, let's not take too much damage, but Meowers comes through, takes out Savant, pops a Meteor Strike, manages to take out ASR as well. And once again, just another wipe through the remaining stragglers of Stylo Milos.
A Meowers moment as we see the Doomfist clean up right there. Then again, I mean, and here Stylo Milos have to figure out how they're going to counter this Doomfist, because they've run into All-Stars Orion twice now and have had no like response. And actually you can see that their response is to just take a different route for it. See ya.
Yeah, sometimes changing it up is always good. I like this high ground strategy that they're taking here. Jackal trying to find a few picks, but it's going to be Meowers who has to run away when you find the whole team up close and personal in your face. The punch comes through by Meowers, and that's going to punch you into the flux there of your illusion. Managing to get the immortality to stay alive. What a shatter coming through by PJ! That throws Arctic Wolf to the ground, and Jackal is able to finish it off. The photon barrier comes out by Etsy to try and get this fight alive, but Jackal is just on a killing spree right now, trying to remove every player of Orion. Self-destruct to confirm the fight. That's the remaining players gone, and last second it goes to Stylo Milos.
And then from Stylo Milos, a nice shatter there from PJ. I think that was the most important part of that fight. PJ's shatter. If that doesn't land, I believe All-Stars Orion just sweeps through them. But here come All-Stars Orion. They've got this is all. They've got the Baptiste available. They've got sound barriers. So really everything at their disposal.
And there goes both Amplification Matrix straight away, no longer at their disposal, but Meowers comes in and just removes ASR. Meanwhile, the rest of Orion are making quick work of Stylo Milos, and what a fast fight. A lot happened everywhere, but that is going to be a confirmed point.
Oh, confirmed. Here comes the Hammond PJ trying to take it. I don't think he can. Oh, that's a nice touch there by Jackal. However, it's too late, I think, because Meowers takes down a little too easy. And from here, it's just a clean up. Poor ASR. He's still alive. How is he still alive? Someone help this man. He's struggling. Oh, there he goes.
Managed to stay alive. Wow, what a brutal fight there, Kerr.
Yeah, there was really nothing they could do. Stylo Milos there. Unfortunately, look, it's something that it happens. It happens. That's a Doomfist diff. The Doomfist is the scourge of all platinum diamond lobbies. That's what I'll say. If you find a good Doomfist, there's nothing you can do about it. That's what I will say. There might be different opportunities here for Stylo Milos. See if they can get something else working. The Reaper does come out from Skate Savant, so it looks like to manufacture some sort of adaptation coming into this point.
Yeah, no, if it's working, you don't really need to change it, do you? If you're Orion, you just hope that it works exactly the same way again. Opting for the symmetry turret straight out that front door, setting up your turrets early onto the main pillar. And it's just going to be this classic fight around the pillar. See who gets the first pick, and it's got to be Funkasm taking out PJ. That is a brutal first kill, losing your Reinhardt. You don't like the feels of that. And Meowers is just going to go on an absolute tear, cleaning up anybody who thought they could hide.
Yeah, and that, look, once again, Orion playing to their wins conditions, playing to their win strategies, and Stylo is kind of floundering a little bit. They've got to try and figure out, once again, beat this Doomfist somehow to the ground. And as I say this, I think Orion overextends a little bit too much, and here comes Stylo, having already taken down 3 members of Orion. It looks like they're just kind of seizing the point now, and I believe they're going to flip it back at the cost of 10%, and this is what they get for being a little bit too greedy.
Absolutely right. That was just pure aggression. It is going to be Arctical desperately trying to get just a little bit more point percentage, but now with Fungasm wiped out there, it is just full back to spawn for Helios.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Stylo, they played that really well. They understood that Orion overextended a little bit there, so they just wanted to jump on that momentum that they had gotten back. I was actually going to suggest a little swap off for Skasevan here, but as I say that, the Photon Barrier comes out.
Yeah, that Photon Barrier comes out so early, responded by a grab to shut down any sort of value. Meteor Strike is just going to keep people away from the grab, make sure no damage comes out of it. The Shatter is good, though, coming through by PJ, but PJ does fall during it, and not enough follow-up does mean that Orion is still in this fight, and it's just going to come down to whether Jackal can bring enough value of picks here, as Jackal is taking a couple of names. It's a little bit of a Jackal fight here to lose, and it is going to be a loss there as the turret finishes them off. Itzy gets that kill, and that should eventually be a point flip as these remaining stragglers are just literally desperately trying to keep this fight alive. Savan's back now on the Reaper. Sound Barrier gets committed as well. They do not want to lose this point, and it's just building up point percentage for them, as well as getting the Sound Barrier out by Ruff. Meowers is getting these picks. It's just you need to get all the picks. You can't keep these stragglers coming through. Amplification Matrix comes out, but both tanks from Stylo Milos are now back. This is crazy, Kurt.
Everything is going to ham, everything is going down right now. Bodies are being thrown to the point, ults are being pressed, and the point is finally flipped over to the side of Orion as they push out the remaining Milos, should I say, sorry, stragglers here. Skasevan, they kind of contained that little room, but yeah, that entire fight was incredibly peach is the only way to describe it. Everything was going everywhere. The kitchen sink was being thrown at the wall. Nothing stuck for anyone, and I credit to Stylo Milos there because they got so many ultimates out of Allstars Orion.
On top of that, look at that percentage they've got now, 78%. That was a lost fight with so much value. Amplification Matrix coming out by ASR, and that Death Blossom removing Row there. The Meteor Strike doesn't connect onto anybody, unfortunately. Itzy does manage to finish off Savan, so got enough damage during the Death Blossom to finish them off. But with Jackal's Deadeye, that is going to be a point flip so quickly.
Wanted a masterclass in knowing how to stall out Platinum Diamond control points. You should watch Stylo there for that last fight. I'm still kind of caught on that and how well they kind of just stalled it out here as Orion comes into this last attempt at taking a point.
What a good grab at the start, getting them stuck on the entryway. The Shatter comes through by Arctic Wolf. Not much value, but the self-destruct is going to get Jackal. There goes ASR. This could be a flip for All-Star Orion. They just need to confirm those last couple of kills. And they do manage to keep the point going and their fight alive.
Yeah, just managing to clutch that out. However, Road coming up on the Sound Barrier. Look, Orion could do this. If they just get Rose Sound Barrier activated, and look, they roll through this first kind of to the push from Stylo, then maybe they could take point. However, Stylo are looking a little bit better on the ultimate front, I am going to say here. And they've got, it looks like they've got a little bit of a different way to get to the point this time as they go under.
Yeah, smart, change it up, don't be predictable, and just try and get a couple of picks and win the fight. However, Meowers, they do manage to find Little there, and losing Little is going to be really tough. The Sound Barrier is trying to keep these remaining players of Orion alive, but there's no touch for Milos. They don't manage to touch, so Orion do manage to take it.
You hate to see
that
it.
Was play of the game. I think that was really smart, sort of well-timed aggression by Orion, taking the fight to them just off point, so they don't even think about getting the touch because they've got a fight in front of their face. That was impressive.
Yeah, it's always a bit depressing. I mean, that was a huge shatter. It was a huge shatter that came out. but unfortunately, I think it was too little, too late, and that was once again kind of depressing because they had it. I honestly think Stylo was going to win that fight if they could touch point. But unfortunately, it happens. There was no one on the point. There was no bodies, and you hate to see the no overtime win. But that's unfortunate. I think as Orion, Stylo Milos were definitely catching on to how Allstars Orion were using this Doom Fist towards the end. So it was getting a little bit easier for them to start pushing in, and as you said, they're trying not to be predictable by taking all these different ways to the point that Orion can't execute anything on them. And honestly, I think it was more of a Reinhardt diff towards. I think PJ had the Reinhardt diff. I'm gonna be honest.
I agree. No, absolutely. PJ was looking really strong on that Reinhardt, and realistically, that was a very good performance by Milos. Nonetheless, like they were taking Orion to that level of fighting. It is just a matter of will they be able to get to a point where they do actually beat Orion on some of these map picks. And now that they get the chance to choose a map, they might be able to choose a map that's going to be in their preference and maybe make Orion a little uncomfortable.
Yeah, most definitely. I mean, I'm pretty sure the teams are just going, they're just trying to decide which map. I believe Stylo fans are trying to decide which map they're going for, but at least it looks like this match will be a little bit close. Us. Maybe.
Exactly right.
It's looking better. It's looking better, which is I'm happy.
Yeah, absolutely. It's definitely important to see whether we get this close match up. We might just take a quick little 2-minute break as we try and get these teams sorted. They're just doing some sub-ins and move-arounds by the looks of it. So if you can give us just a quick little 2-minute break. Thank you for your patience in taking that wee short break. We are now back for our second map in Game 2, Stylo Milos versus All-Star Orion. And this is already looking like quite a bit of a closer matchup than before.
Yeah, most definitely. I mean, look, Stylo Milos, once again, they've kind of got like this adaptation kind of little bit in their brain where they're like, okay, hang on, we got to do this instead of that, which we kind of didn't see before in the last game that we watched. However, you know, this should be a certified banger. So hopefully King's Row is a little bit closer, a little bit longer, just a little bit, you know, a little bit to
see if we can see third point.
Yeah, see if we can see the third point and maybe get a bit further. Nah, but you know, I think we'll be seeing more of the same thing, more rush. You know, yeah, there it is. Okay, that's a Bastion. That's not rush.
Will we see the Bastion? I don't know. Maybe if we see a Symmetra, we could see a cheeky TP onto the top of statue. That's always one of my favorite Bastion players, but it's probably more just showing off their skin that they don't have on.
Yeah, probably. I mean, yeah, who would run Bastion, right? Who in their right mind would run Bastion?
And Div 5 especially.
I couldn't imagine Bastion being run. Nah. Meowers is on. Look, he was. They were on the Doomfist, and now they're on the Bastion, and it's gonna happen. No, it's gonna happen. It's a pirate ship, right? Yeah. Okay, they're coming out spawner on Bastion.
Oh my gosh! Let's see how Meowers does this. Opting for the Bastion, opting to go up into the high ground of this hotel here. Out of the Meridian window. No, just sitting up there, pumping out that damage now. Jackal does manage to find them, and with D.Va eating up the damage coming through by Meowers, Meowers does get taken out by Jackal going on a good flank. However, Illusion feels the pain of their aggression. Arctic Wolf taking them out nice and quickly, and that is going to be a call by All-Star Orion to just continue pushing through, be aggressive, take them out, get this point presence, and it's working out so perfectly right now. Milo's just hoping they can get their D.Va back. Jackal now going on a tier, takes 2, both DPS removed for Orion, and now we will just see Milo's finishing up this defense.
In retrospect, I think this actually would have been perfect for Orion if, you know, after the Bastion came out from Meowers, they saw the aggression onto Illusion, they got the DMAG, they got the pick, now they switch off quickly to Doomfist. I think that's the route they had to take there in order to make their early aggression on Bastion make sense. Because, you know, the Bastion did get a lot of damage in. And now we actually see Meowers move over. Ooh, as the Shadow comes out, but I think it's blocked and both windows come out.
Yeah, this is a lot of ultimates being pressed right now. Jackal managing to get a lot of value through this amplification matrix, taking 3 to their name and really just finishing that fight before it even started.
Yeah, Jackal's on a little bit of a spree this map. That first flank that they got onto the Bastion and the Widow was just immense for Stylo Milos. Which means that Stylo Milos just have a little bit of breathing room now to work with as Arctic Wolf gets walled off again.
And that self-destruct comes up, it gets blocked, so now it's just this blizzard going to make sure that anyone on Orion can't get comfortable as you get frozen up and taken out by Baptiste and Cassidy. This is really good plays by Milos.
Yeah, it seems that they're cycling through their ultimates a little bit better now, and in doing so, just not allowing Orion to make any kind of moves. And I think the cheese effect of Meow's Doomfist is kind of wearing off as Stylo Milos is going to go, you know what? We're going to settle back into this.
And here we go now. Orion straight onto point. That Maywall doing wonders. However, a shatter comes through by Arctic Wolf. The sound barrier is so good, making sure no kills can come through by the shatter. Jackal once again with another good Deadeye. It may just be one player, but it's that crucial Reinhardt you need removed. The amplification matrix is going to clear out the remaining stragglers and push everyone back to spawn again.
Yeah, look, Stylo Milos here, they're just kind of dominant in their defense. They're just cycling through their ultimates really well. Unfortunately though, for them, it looks like Orion will have the upper hand when it comes to ultimates, especially with this duplication. With Echo duplication, it's so useful, it's so helpful for Orion here. See if Meowers goes for a Reinhardt copy. I think that's the best case scenario here. I think he goes for the D.Va actually.
Gets May, pops the wall, blocks the self-destruct. That was so much quick thought and quick movement. Incredible play right there. Amplification Matrix now putting a lot of pressure on Milos. They're having to rotate through the Eldenworth Hotel, trying to stay alive, and that Blizzard freezes up Arcticorp. Arcticorp now removed. There goes Ro. This is not looking too good now for Orion, as they don't have many players left to try to take this point.
Oh, even through Meow's the heroics, I would say that was an incredibly fast-thinking Mei swap to the wall up to stop the Bomb of Illusion, but they've only got 8 seconds left to work with here, Orion. Can they even touch the point? One of them is going to have to, otherwise it's going to end in this Charlie 9. I don't want to see it happen again, and they do get bodies on the point.
And with the Deadeye, oh, gets blocked by the Maywall, but so does PJ Shatter. So no value from 2 ultimates coming through thanks to a good old Diva wall. Classic plays right there. 2 ticks nearly captured. There goes that second tick. Savan just stalling on point. Meanwhile, PJ and ASR do fall. And they are, it looks like Milos are going to be able to take point at the very last second.
Yeah, Orion managed to kind of squeak out there a little bit of cheese, and it's the Meowers effect. They don't know. Stylo Milos don't know what Meowers is going to pull out, so they don't know how to respond to it appropriately. This person is they're on something right now. They're on this cooked up Overwatch goop. I was gonna say, but it looks like they're just innovating every step of the way, Orion here. Whereas Stylo Milos, they've got to quickly think on their feet. How are they going to counter these weird picks almost?
Yeah, a little bit different. You know, now is now running the Junkrat. A lot of spam damage. The Reinhardt shield's gonna struggle staying alive. I like this split rotation here right now coming from Jackal. He wants to Deadeye, has the Diva protection and the Lucio speed to stay alive. And PJ coming from the other side, splitting this team off. PJ taking 4 to their name. Wow, that was such a well-coordinated split attack.
Yeah, on one side the Mei and the Reinhardt jump onto the cart, whilst on the other side the Cassidy High Noons from, well, Deadeye's from a long way away, and so it splits the team's attention. So even though Fungasm got most of that Deadeye in the defense matrix, it doesn't matter because PJ's on the other side destroying half of your team with one big hammer.
Oh, PJ, speaking of one big hammer, throws that cheeky shatter out, takes Meowers. Sound barrier now just to help the remaining players get away. Oh, but Arctic threw a shatter into nothing. They are now going to try and get aggressive and take this fight. It looks like Orion, they want to be able to push this payload. But with Jackal still on this high ground, finally removed by Fungasm, they can finally start to make a little bit more progress with 45 seconds remaining.
Yeah, and watch out here because Meowers has the Riptire, Etsy has the Deadeye, and Helios has this Amplification Matrix. They've got so many tools at their disposal, Orion, to push this final point, and only a Blizzard to stop them on the side of Stylo Milos.
It's gonna have to get eaten up. Fungasm's gonna keep an eye on this Blizzard, try to shut it down as quickly as possible. PJ now getting onto point with the help of Jackal, but Meowers removing Savant so quickly does mean that there isn't gonna be a Blizzard this fight. Self-destruct takes out Jackal, and then Etsy finishes off PJ. Second point does manage to get captured once again in the nick of time.
Yeah, and it's just this last-minute clutch variety from Orion that they're kind of pulling out right now. And look, they still have this Riptire. They still have this Deadeye. They have a sound barrier. It's looking good for them. Meanwhile, Skasapon does have this Blizzard, and Jackal does have this Deadeye in response. And Illusion also has this Diva Bomb. So it'll be interesting to see how both teams going to play around each other right now. 3 ultimates versus 3 ultimates. It's going to come down in this fight. Who can use them more effectively?
And look at this pure aggression. Illusion already taking out Helios, even though they get frozen up. Jackal finishing off Meowers. This could be a pure dry fight here for Milos. It doesn't look like they're even going to want to commit any ults, but it looks like Etsy throws the Deadeye, gets met by a Blizzard, gets frozen up. Oh my gosh, this is just really quick, good, solid plays coming through by Milos.
I think that kind of favors Orion just a little bit more because the Blizzard, such a crucial ultimate, was used there. And so now Orion can just kind of stride in without any fear. But what are Stylo Milos doing? They're holding up really close here. They're going to try some sort of behind push here. Meowers gets caught out.
Oh, that's so good. Milos are going to be loving that right now. With Meowers being gone, they can pop that Amplification Matrix. The Deadeye comes out. Ro does fall to it, even with the Defense Matrix trying to shut it down. And now it is just another clean sweep. If they hold this up close and personal, it's going to be so hard for anyone from Orion to try to get this touch. Fungasm trying to go through, but gets found by Savan. Now we've got Etsy on the soldier, trying to use those legs to the best benefit possible. Arctic Wolf pushing through. Rowe does just manage to get the touch. That means that Arctic Wolf can charge through, take out PJ. We see the sound barrier come out, and that is going to mean that this fight will last a little bit longer here for Orion. But kills are going both ways right now. It's really anybody's fight, as we do see Illusion desperately trying to keep the fight alive, and boom! A double, it's just one in the end. Little doesn't manage to get the Lucio off, as they can wall right back up. That Blizzard will zone anyone off, and that should now be likely where the payload stops.
Wow. That was really good from Stylo Milos. I was impressed, really impressed at how they managed to kind of just cycle their ultimates in a way which wouldn't allow Orion to ever have kind of this advantage. And they kind of just played around the ultimates that they have, and they knew how to play around the ultimates that Orion had. It was just kind of like this Skay Savan Blizzard paradox, you know? One fight they have the Blizzard, one fight they don't have the Blizzard, and the fight that they don't have the Blizzard, they have every other ultimate to use on their team. So just really well played there by Stylo Milos. For Orion, it was more about getting into position without getting caught out by the aggressiveness of Stylo Milos as well, because Stylo Milos were pushing up so far sometimes that it was rough for them to kind of gain any footing. So it'd be interesting to see how they managed to counter this kind of Cassidy combo, and as I say that, Jackal is on the Widow. Maybe for just a little bit of Widow action to start off the round, but once again, interesting to see how they counter this Cassidy May kind of composition.
Yeah, definitely this Widow from Jackal is just going to be to try and shut down any early picks so you can get aggressive really quickly. It looks like Meow is going back onto the Doomfist, and it does seem like that's what Meow is definitely most comfortable on. They performed so well on first point with Doomfist, so why not keep that going? We'll see how that plays a difference to this comp.
Yeah, here comes Stylo Milos rolling out of spawn. Kind of just poking a little bit, just kind of just gauging what Orion have opted to run. They don't know about Meows yet, but they will soon. Well, very soon. You see Meow is just kind of chilling up the top there in the top window, and it looks like the Diva spotted them out, so...
A good wraparound. Yeah, I like this. This is a good wraparound so far, but unfortunately PJ does fall. Milos getting that first death early. That's going to make this push really hard, and it's going to just mean that Orion can get aggressive, try and take out these remaining stragglers. But with Helios falling from ASR, this could unlock something for Milos as they kind of continue to try this really messy push right now. PJ onto the Wrecking Ball now, gets the pile driver kill onto Arctic Wolf, and that is actually going to open it up. It looks like Orion is now slowly falling, and at this point starting to progress.
Yeah, after the first pick off from Orion, they were looking really good. Etsy actually TPs on the high ground, see if they can get anything done. However, Illusion, and as I say this, as they try and recontest here, Orion, the window comes out from ASR, not allowing them to touch point. However, Fungasm does make his way on, but it does not matter. He gets taken down, and the first point will go to Stylo Milos. Anyway, oh yeah, sorry, go.
People who are good. I just love watching people who are good and have big brains unlike me.
Yeah, it definitely is a gift. A gift sometimes found in Overwatch players, although not most of the time, you know. And there's only two smart Overwatch players, I'm gonna say. But
and that's us.
And it's us, yes, it's the customers. No, insane. Stylo Milos played that really well. They managed to separate the team.
Deadeye coming out. That self-destruct only connects onto an immortality, unfortunately. But once again, this is just another fight where lots of little things are happening. Meow is finally takes out PJ, but Jackal responds by taking out the Baptiste. Losing that support is critical right now, as Milos can continue to kill laps on the remaining players. Death Blossom gets eaten up, and that Meteor Strike's going to finish off Savannah and ASR. Jackal now just desperately trying to push this payload as far as possible. Meets Meowers head to head, and that's another fight win for Milos.
Yeah, so I'm sorry. I feel like I'm holding the action up here because I'm always getting caught out in the middle of saying something, and they're already halfway through a team fight because of how chaotic this kind of point is. See the Hammond roll through and actually drops the mines early. See if Orion can actually touch point.
Milos just want this fight to never stop. Arctic Wolf deciding that I'm going to shatter you to the ground to stop this fight and send you back to spawn. And we might finally get a little bit of saneness as we do see the remaining people on point run away.
Yeah, a little bit of reprieve here for us here as Orion has a nice clean team fight. We haven't seen one of those in about 2 minutes. No, really good moves there from Arctic. I mean, they just hit a fat shatter and that's all there is to that fight. However, Stylo Milos, here they come back again. Illusion does have this Diva Bomb. Jackal does have this Deadeye. Can they do anything with this, or will it just all be countered with Rose sound barrier here? Well, we'll see as Milos actually opts for the high ground approach right into Meowers.
Oh, Meowers did not like that. Illusion running over them. That is scary when you have a full team just meeting you head to head. Etsy now finds the rest of the team as well as they drop right on top of them. Amplification Matrix comes out, but the sound barrier is going to make sure that a little bit less damage happens. Amplification Matrix from Helios comes through, but the Deadeye is going to give little to no value from that Amplification Matrix, and that is going to be second point capture.
Stylo Milos looking very scary now. They're looking a little bit angry after that first map defeat on the pole. They are striding through this King's Row point with ease right now. Meow is getting caught out there, unfortunately, and then that led to Etsy also getting caught out. So now they only have one fight left in them, Orion, for this map.
Hopefully the self-destruct from Fungasm can do something. However, Illusion's self-destruct comes through, takes 5! The combo of the Shatter self-destruct was gigantic! Illusion must be so happy with that, and it wins them King's Row, brings them 1-1. What a show Milos is bringing us now.
Oh my goodness, what a combination that was. That was perfectly executed, and we'll get to see it again here because there's no way in heck that's not played the game. I mean, everything's just perfect. PJ hits that shadow. It's a 5-man.
Even Fungasm tried to throw their own self-destruct back, but because they were in Baby Diva form, they died to the self-destruct. Oh, what a beautiful ultimate, a really good combo, and that shows us that this is going to be a much closer fight than before, because obviously Orion, they did Nepal very well, but now Milos, they're telling us we are not down and out of it, and now Orion, they have to choose a map. They get to choose between our 2 maps, which is Gibraltar or Route 66, and realistically, I think a lot of this is just down to whether they sort of like one of the maps that they can make Milos uncomfortable with.
Yeah, I mean, as we head into our 3rd map, I think it's Gibraltar. It's going to be interesting because what we've seen so far has been 2 really rush central maps where it's just been Reinhardt slamming into each other. This is a very big change of pace here. And we've seen Milos kind of exercise almost dominance in the mirror, apart from Meow's Doomfist, which was probably a little hitch in the system for Milos. So it'll be interesting to see these sort of dive compositions as opposed to this rush that we've been seeing all day.
I think Gibraltar is the right map. You want to get them off that rush because obviously PJ and Illusion love that Ryan Diva playstyle. ASR was doing so good on the Baptiste, and Jackal's Cassidy was just nasty. So I like this map pick. I like where their heads at. You know, just get them off the Ryan Diva, and maybe we'll be able to maybe we'll make them uncomfortable.
Yeah, and Gibraltar's all about dive. It's all about any monkey enthusiasts in chat, any Winston enthusiasts, because I definitely am a Winston enthusiast. I don't know, Winston is just, I feel like he's the best main tank to play. I do like my Reinhardt, but Winston is just something different about it, and we're going to be seeing a lot of this on Gibraltar with all this high ground, with all this space. We'll be also able to see a lot of different DPS, which, you know, is going to be exciting than the usual Mei Reaper kind of butt heads against Reinhardt. Here we go.
Absolutely. Now we've got Echo's going to butt head in the sky. Meanwhile, this Ashen Soldier are going to hope to take them out, and immediately Etsy is taking a lot of damage, having to just play it safe now by the payload. to make sure they do not get taken out early, because if you get an early pick in a dive comp, the rest of your team is just going to get collapsed on. So I like that they managed to keep this fight going. We now see PJ trying to dive onto Meowers, but Meowers is going to get away, and PJ falls because of it. A little bit too much aggression, but the monkey from the other side falls too. So now this is just, once again, another just slow, staggered out push.
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple ways to play dive, and that was definitely one of them. The counter dive definitely works when your diva turns to chase the other Winston, sure. But what about your Winston? Your Winston is now stuck in no man's land, and both teams experienced that as both Winstons got traded. Meowers actually takes out ASR here, but Lucian clutches back onto Etsy, so a little bit of balance between both teams. They start poking under the bridge at Gibraltar.
Yeah, it's looking like this team is, these two teams, sorry, are very back and forth in their fight style right now. Finally opting for a regroup just to try and get their T's crossed and their I's dotted. Hopefully, Illusion or Fungasm don't fall too early. We've got now PJ trying to go help Illusion up on the high ground. They don't want to lose this positioning. They don't want to let Orion get into a place where they feel comfortable. A huge anti-nade comes out by Little, but Little's taking so much damage that the rest of the team can't follow up. And there goes PJ. Focusing beam by Etsy, removes the Winston, and now with Orion, you know you can get a bit more aggressive. However, Etsy falls. Nano now goes onto Arctic Wolf, and Arctic Wolf's going to try and get some value with it, but with the Illusion getting the Nano, there's a little bit more pressure coming through. Little does fall to Arctic, and the question is going to become whether this duplicate gets enough value. No self-destruct duplicate kills. Jackal does finish off Helios though, and this fight is really messy right now. It's so slow and staggered out, one by one, and it's not much value for either team because of it. Bob's thrown out, gets slept, and finally now we might see Arctic do a bit of work with the help of Meowers, as we do see quite a few kills come through, but once again, it goes the other way back to Milos.
I feel very sorry for Europera because this fight has just gone 15 different directions. There are so many like little sub fights that you couldn't even catch on to most of it. I think what we can take away from it is ultimates used, nothing gained for Orion. For Orion. It was just a little bit of a mess.
Yeah, that was, we talked about the spaghetti being dropped earlier. That felt like a lot of spaghetti being dropped, and I don't know how they managed to clean up that fight. We now see a duplicate coming through by Etsy. Two divas on the field, both trying to take out Illusion. No diva counterpart for you. However, Meowers is going to be the one to take that first kill. Jackal getting taken out early. The duplicated self-destructing too much, but Meowers really popping off with the tactical visor right now, removing Illusion, and with no more mercy, the rest can no longer come through. PJ falls to Etsy, getting aggressive here now, and it is just going to be little bits of staggers here and there by Milos to try and keep this fight alive, as Savan is now going back to regroup.
They haven't been pushing the cart the whole time. Even though Orion have been winning this fight for about 30 seconds straight now, they have not been pushing the cart, which gives Stylo Milos more than ample opportunity to come back in, and Jackal gets the first pick onto Mowers.
Oh, and you got to be so happy if you're Milos right now. You get back with payload not really moving very far. Jackal's getting pressured by the tanks. However, Etsy's fallen. No more echo for the fight. Self-destruct straight onto the payload, and they take out 3. Such a good self-destruct. But there is still fight to be had as ASR brings Little back. 2 supports on the point here with the help of a nanoed wrecking ball. PJ trying to keep this fight alive. However, the nanoed monkey of Arctic Wolf manages to finally just confirm that point capture.
Yeah, they're just squeaking out little wins here, right? I feel like, especially, it's such a stark contrast from the control map as Arctic Wolf goes deep and goes monkey into the backline. I think they're just creating space here for themselves, Orion. They shouldn't really take this fight if they want to make sure they're not overextending. But yeah, as I was saying, you know, we're seeing a stark difference to the team on the control map and the team on this Escort map for Orion.
Self-destruct comes out, gets blocked by Helios, but Meowers can't block it. They don't have their own personal shield here. And Savan's focusing, being taking Arctic Wolf out, does just mean that Milos are probably going to run over all of Orion.
Yeah, we see Orion being shepherded out of the second point. A little bit more stability able for Stylo Milos here. I feel like I prefer Jackal's Cassidy pick here to Meowers' Soldier. as we see Jackal get a pick up onto Etsy, that was very nice. It just allows a little bit more diversity and a lot more damage to be done, a lot more consistent damage rather than Milos' attack visor, which might not always come up, like yield results here. As we can actually see, Jackal's doing so much right now on this Cassidy, and right now, sorry, I was just gonna say that Orion are just still trickling in.
Yeah, even with Jackal on Cassidy, you get the stun as well. You know, that flashbang just really making it hard for these dive executions to work because you get stunned in the face. So it's working really well. Cassidy now removing Etsy. And if Jackal just keeps winning these 1v1 fights, it's not really going to matter what Orion does because, yeah, now PJ can throw down a minefield and take out Fungasm on the Baby Diva. This is just solo fights at this rate.
Yeah, it's little segmented 1v1s, and Orion really have to pull themselves together and pushes one, and Etsy dies again. That cannot feel good.
What do you even do if you're Etsy right now and you just desperately try to push through, but you got a Jackal in your face making sure you can't even leave spawn? It is brutal, and now with the Deadeye, I feel like there's no way it's not going to be used as some kind of zone. Self-destruct goes out, doesn't find anyone because everyone's playing up on this high ground. There goes the Deadeye. It's going to get eaten up by two different defense matrices from two different Divas. The duplicated Diva by Etsy putting in a little bit of work to make sure that Meowers can just get some value. So many self-destructs everywhere on the field by so many different duplicated Echoes right now. But it is going to come up for Orion. The question is, can they push it all the way?
Yeah, they're in overtime now. Any mistake here, any jumping off the cart could lead to the fabled Charlie Niner, which we do not want to see. Definitely not here on our good stream. Orion pushing up, making space, and Milo's just gearing up for this re-engage.
Yeah, I like this high ground push, you know, give them enough space so that we can get back onto it already. And the early pick onto Etsy is good, however, Savan does fall. No echoes for either team, and both teams losing a support as well. These fights have been consistently 1-to-1-to-1-to-1. And the question is, can Orion use that to their advantage to just get those final few kill confirmations? Minefield goes onto the payload from PJ, and it could be enough to make sure that Milo stops the payload in its tracks here. Deadeye to really just confirm these final few kills, and that is going to be where the payload rests.
I feel like I've lost like 5 years of my life watching this. It is so hectic. I mean, you have, on one hand, Jackal just popping off on the Cassidy from the high ground. And then on the other hand, you have Meowers running around with a nano boost attack visor just in the back line of Milo's, and it's just messy. Everywhere is messy. That's the only way to describe this, you know, this map so far. I mean, with Rush, you know, it's kind of segmented. You can kind of tell when the fights are going to be taken because there's a build up, there's a big smack as the two teams hit each other. But here it's very, you don't know what's going to happen, especially when the two teams, their dive doesn't look as practiced as their rush.
I genuinely feel like this is how I feel when I'm trying to clean my room. There's mess over there, there's mess over there, there's mess over here, and I don't know where to start. And so it's really just becoming such an interesting fight here. I like that we're seeing double shield, not for the fact of double shield's a fun comp, but maybe the fact of I might just have a little bit more sanity in what's going to happen with these fights now.
Yeah, because you cannot get your head around 4 Diva Bombs. There were 4 Diva Bombs in that last fight. 4 different self-destructs, and it's like, wait, which one's which? Because all I can hear is nerf this. I don't know which one to nerf. Nah, but as you were saying, the double shield comes out for Orion. Maybe they can find a little bit more stability, whereas PJ and Co on Milo's sticking to this dive composition.
I mean, hey, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, and it definitely wasn't broken for Milos here, so let's see whether they're able to break through this double shield setup that they've got. PJ trying to jump onto the high ground, does get stunned, finds a boulder to the face, however, Illusion decides, I'm going to take it. Arctic Wolf now does fall to a good focusing beam from Savan, however, is going to give this payload a little bit of progress.
Yeah, now that an entire tank has gone on the side of Orion, it gives a lot more space, even though Savan still fell, gives a lot more space for the tanks of Milos, so a little bit more space gain. The cart moves a little bit, and what Orion didn't do well in their first point push was they didn't move the cart, so let's see if Milos can actually do that. It's looking good so far.
Yeah, it looks like they're doing it so far, for sure. However, these little split fights, once again, are kind of so far favoring Orion as they're able to execute just really good dives. Ro taking a bunch of sticky bombs to the face here. Now Helios finding a monkey beam. However, we do see a Flux come out by Fungasm, picks up the Valking Mercy, and that's going to finish off ASR here. It's once again such messy fights, but this time in favor of Orion by the looks of it.
Yeah, it's just all going downhill. The Nano Monkey comes out for Milos, and PJ goes to town. He's nearly got the Primal Rage. Meanwhile, the double shield composition of Orion is trying to hold on here as PJ is just jumping everywhere. Anti-nades are coming out. That's a big anti-nade onto the front line of Orion, and PJ goes full ape.
PJ throwing the Primal Rage right in front of them. Oh, a huge anti-nade comes out by a little too easy. And that is where they're going to say that was a little too easy for me. That anti-nade just meant they could remove any of these remaining players. What a much more clean push for Milos.
Yeah, a little too easy for the players, a little too hard, I'm going to say, for us as casters here. That's a mess. But as you were saying, it was a much cleaner dive than what we've seen so far, which kind of makes sense considering they're pushing into a much stabler comp of double shield. But now the double shield has 4 ultimates, and actually so do Milos.
Yeah, and there's that Deadeye. Dragons does go straight onto payload just to try stop it from moving, but when everyone's up on the high ground, it's not really going to move that far anyway. We've got the duplicated Gravitic Flux that gets bolted. Really good bolter by Fungasm just to shut down the ultimate. Rez comes through onto Jackal, so Jackal can continue to just really put pressure onto these remaining players of Orion. Fungasm feeling a lot of pain, and Jackal decides to finish them off. Arctic now returning on the hog, manages to take out Jackal and just jumps straight onto payload. Takes a breather, gets their health back, tries to stay alive. Illusion, however, throwing their self-destruct onto the point, and with the help of the rally, you can't stay alive when Illusion is just dropping a mech on your face. Gravitic Flux on the payload, manages to take out Savan. Boulder then straight onto Illusion. Illusion is going to get demeched. These tanks trying to keep this fight alive for Orion right now, and now Meow is on the Doomfist. It's one of those last second heroes that can win or lose a fight. It looks like Meowers does get taken down by the Primal Rage, unfortunately. Primal now trying to keep this payload moving. Rogue falls, and now it is just going to be Arctic Wolf. Deadeye just to reload. Helios desperately trying to stop the payload moving. Dragon Strike isn't going to get them off, as it is going to be Milos taking our second point of the match.
Yeah, my brain is hurting a little bit there. Different flashing colors. Different flashing colors. Everyone's jumping everywhere. As we see Jackal here closing up on the Cassidy. They were immense this match, Jackal. The Cassidy of Stylo Milos just... Oh, that was some nice tech. Hello. Okay, not the flashbang and the hammer, but the roll. The roll was good.
That was clean.
That was clean.
No, I was going to say it feels like we're at a circus with how much chaos is going on, but after that clean play, I don't think it's a circus. I think that's a professional performance from Jackal.
Yeah, most definitely. What I was gonna say, what Stylo Milos did well there was their just composition was just a lot more suited to Gibraltar. You know, they can run that double shield if they want, as much as they want Orion. But at the end of the day, the Mercy Res is still present for Stylo Milos, so they have kind of more of a sustained... It sounds silly to say when you're jumping into a double shield, but they've got more sustain. Especially if they have a Mercy. And this Mercy just allows for res, it allows for constant cycling, you know, it allows for better healing, more consistent healing than your Ana Baptiste on this map because, you know, your team's jumping everywhere. So I believe we're going into a little bit of a break now. But just before we do that, I just like to touch, upon this double shield composition for Orion and what we can expect to kind of see in this sorry, my brain is still broken from that match. I mean,
last hybrid map.
Yeah, last map. But it's not even the last map. I mean, you know, Orion could win this one, and then we go to a map 5, and then my brain breaks even more.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll be moving into hybrid Iconvold for our fourth and potentially final map. Maybe not. But yeah, potentially a little bit of double shield. We might see some more rush. What do you think, Kerr?
I mean, if we're going into a hybrid, I think it's going to be Rush, right? It has to be Rush. I mean, you know, the dive break on Gibraltar was good, but I feel like even if we go Rush, I feel like Milos just cleans up here. I feel like they're in a much better position. They know their Rush a little bit better, as we saw on King's Row, and their dive just looked a lot cleaner, as we saw just now on Gibraltar. However, look, Orion's going to have to pull out something big. I think Meowers' Doomfist in the first map was that big thing that they needed. They needed to disrupt the flow of Stylo and maybe Stylo were just getting warmed up, and maybe they took the Doomfist as like a personal insult, because ever since map 1 they've been looking fiery. They've just been looking clean in their executes, and that's something that you want from the Stylo. However, you know, if Orion are going to do anything to break that, they need to once again break out with something big, something disruptive that stops Stylo from kind of getting into this flow that they've gotten so far. So I'm hoping not for Rush. That's what I'm hoping. I'm hoping more for a I don't know, it's like a quasi dive, maybe double sniper. Look, I want to see some DPS action. I've seen a lot of Cassidy from Jackal so far, but you know, I want to see a Widow, maybe some Hanzo.
I'd love to see some just heads popping by a good Widow. It'd be very fun to watch. Even just Meowers going in deep with that Doomfist again and just taking names could be really fun to watch. But definitely a good change up now. I've just been informed we could also see Escort, so it could be Route 66. It's a choice between hybrid or Escort, so Iconvold or Route 66. But I still think we're probably going to see very similar comp playstyles.
I haven't seen Iconvold third point in decades, I feel, in competitive Overwatch.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's always the first point, and it's always a full hold. It's getting to me. I want to see Iconvold third point. Hopefully we go to Iconvold. If not, that's alright. Route 66 is okay too. I haven't seen that third point in a while either. But yeah, you know, I mean, if we're on route, say, we might see a pirate ship or double shields or anything, and that's gonna be unfun, but also fun at the same time. Bastion's always fun to kind of cast around. But Iconwall, I feel like there's a little bit more dive variety, you know?
Absolutely right. I feel like Iconvold will just give a bit more variety, especially with that second point. You know, you get that high ground possibility. Yeah, and it looks like we are going to get Iconvold. As we do it does seem like that is what Orion are going to be choosing here. So we might see some rush. I mean, you could still, if you get the first point captured, you could swap off to that pirate ship.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, okay, let's not put any ideas in our heads right now. I don't want to see a pirate ship. I'm already in a bad mood today. I don't want to make that worse, man. My brain can only comprehend so much going at one time, and a Bastion pirate ship just needs to be removed from the equation. It could happen. You're right, it could happen. We could see some Symmetra, we could see some Mei. I don't like that idea, but it's a reality, you know, with just Iconwall third point and how it kind of just works. I'm happy to see some Junkrat again from Meowers, maybe. That might be quite fun, you know, first point, little bit of a hole. Maybe even some Pharah. We haven't seen Pharah at all today. Ooh. That would be good to see. I like myself a good Pharmacy.
Me too. As a Pharah player, that's the only DPS I have any value on. Just if you're aware, if you see me in one of your games and I'm DPS, just go hit scan, then I can't play the video game anymore. So, just a little tidbit for you there.
I don't know if you can throw yourself out there like that.
I mean, hey, it's all fun and games until I'm shot by a Widow.
Yeah. I mean, look, if you don't want to play Pharah, just play Junkrat, right? It's basically the same thing.
True.
Just a little bit different, you know, trajectory, angles, all that stuff.
Absolutely right.
Nah, yeah, I do think Pharmacy is very fun. It's just fun to see teams trying to struggle to adjust to deal with it as well. It's like as soon as you see a Pharmacy come out, you're like, it's a Pharmacy. No, not this again. It's kind of cringe, man. So you go double hit scan and you try and figure it out, and then nothing gets killed because the tanks are on you. And it's this whole, like, big shebang that everyone, you know, kind of gets messy with. So it's always entertaining to see a Pharmacy, especially in these tournament games.
Absolutely right. And so we may be seeing a Pharmacy come through. Sounds like we are just going to quickly jump into a very short break. We will be right back once teams are ready to go. And we are back for our fourth map in the series of Stylo Milos versus Allstars Orion. We are going to be jumping into Eichenwald for our fourth, potentially final map if Stylo Milos do take it. However, Allstars Orion could still keep their head in the game enough to be able to make it 2-2 and take us to a final control map.
Yeah, no, exciting stuff here. We're back. We're in Eichenwald. Oof! Give me some, not Bastion. Thank you, Pharmacy, as we were saying before, the little break here. And if any team's going to do it, it's going to be Orion. They've been known to pull out, well, not been known, but they've been seen here these couple of games to pull out some weird, wacky compositions. And I am not rewarded with it, but we do get a little bit of double shield instead of the rush. So, you know.
Did ask for a Widow, however, and we do see that Widow from Milos. Whether it's going to stay there or not is another question.
Yeah, look, Meowers, we haven't seen Widow from them, but for all we know, they might be like a cracked out top 500 Widow player. That's in Widow headshots only, 24/7. You know, one of those. As I say that, he changes the fire. Maybe my wish will be complete. Maybe Rogue goes Mercy, and they just run it down in the Pharmacy. Who knows? I'm excited.
Well, maybe they're gonna go Tracer. Maybe they're playing Mystery Heroes.
Whoa.
Who knows these days? And it does look like they're going for that hook shot. Doesn't manage to land a shot or get a kill here. They are going to commit. Meanwhile, Ungasm pushing up with Arctic Wolf. They are getting so aggressive, going straight to point here. It looks like Allstars Orion have a renewed amount of energy. However, with that Boulder taking out Etsy and then Illusion finishing off Arctic Wolf, they aren't able to push through effectively enough, even with the kill on this.
You know, renewed mental energy you were saying, but maybe not a renewed team comp choice here. I'm not sure what the Reinhardt Sigma kind of like fulfills here, apart from getting your shields immediately broken and then sent back to spawn. You know, I think there needs to be a quick tech change up, but as I said, it's Orion stormed the point.
Yeah, they just rush straight onto it once again. Quickly does it. They're trying to say to us, little too easy, falls to Etsy now, and it looks like Savan falls as well. This point is now starting to tick over for Orion. Can they keep it up though, or will they fall?
A little bit of a caster's curse there from me. I said, oh, tanks need to change up, and then they just absolutely rolled through them. So you know what, maybe I'll keep my mouth shut about team comps from now on. Orion seemingly just hearing my words and making it fuel their mint. But now they've taken the first point and moving on to the second, it's going to be a little bit different here. Will they switch off double shield Stylo Milos, or will they just continue on with this high ground control, trying to make sure they can bring the fight down to Orion? But I feel like Orion just have a better composition right now to be able to contest Cart. Though I might be wrong here because Meowers is on this Widow and they're seeing if they can get a few shots in across the map.
It looks like they're trying their best, not really landing too much, but they do land a headshot. It's just their head that gets shot by Savan, so a little bit unfortunate there for Meowers, and the rest of the team is opting to wrap right through Castle. Gravitic Flux tries to find anyone, but doesn't manage to connect on. Duplication now gets another Sigma on the field. Gravitic Flux by both teams, but the value seems like it's coming through for PJ as Savan's duplicated Flux helps PJ get the remaining kills onto Orion.
I was just thinking, it's interesting to see how PJ and Illusion switch up the main tank and off tank for this map. I mean, usually Illusion we see him on the off tank, so I wonder if PJ was like, hey, let me have a go. Let me have a go at this one, on this map. But yeah, as you were saying, a relatively comfortable hold here for Milos, and now Orion, they have to figure out a way to push in now on this high ground. How do they contest it? But as I said, that road takes out Savan, so I mean, that answers my question, I guess.
Fortunately, the res is there to bring Savan back. The application matrix gets responded by a sound barrier, and so many kills just happen so quickly. Like the Wolf taking two, Etsy taking two, and I guess Orion don't want to muck around.
It is so silly how the cleanest fight we've seen all day is on the fourth map we've seen played from these two teams. And in like the 5th minute. That was a very clean fight there from Orion, and it looks like they know their team composition well. I mean, Ro does allow, and as I said, that Meow is against taken out. But Ro's speed boost allows Orion to just get around really fast and be able to take the fight to the double shield composition, which is important.
Now with this aggression, unfortunately, a lot of Orion are falling. The Deadeye comes out by Jackal, doesn't connect onto much, but it doesn't really matter if you can just get the kills. The Shatter gets blocked by a good shield from PJ. Now Arctic Wolf just swinging around, hoping for the best, but to no avail.
Yeah, Ro was left on the cart, manages to take out a little too easy. Unfortunately, nothing much comes of that, and now Orion is back to the spawn room, thinking about how they're going to try and get this one done. Look, once again, Lucio, an integral part of this puzzle. Looks like there will be a pause. Pause is being called in the chat, so I feel like the game will stop for a bit, but that gives me enough time to talk about the game as the pause goes through. Yeah, that was a little bit orkies, but that's alright. Now, it gives me time to talk about this game and these compositions. Look, as I said, Milos run this double shoot composition, very static. They're going to be moving very slowly. They do have this sustain, right?
Yeah.
Ro here, however, on the Lucio allows Orion to just kind of get on top of them quickly and just get their damage through. Now, looking at their composition, it would feel like, you know, Orion's composition doesn't have much damage, especially with Etsy on this Cassidy, but somehow they're making it work. Maybe it's just they're getting the Sigma in and mashing this rock into the faces of the double shield. I'm not sure how they're doing it, but they're making it work somehow.
And I mean, hey, if they can make it work, that's all that really matters, isn't it? You know, even if it's not a great composition, if you feel like you're more comfortable playing it, then maybe just give it a go and play it. Who knows? It might give you results. And so far, Orion are looking quite good. Obviously, they've now got quite a hard push because once that payload gets over that bridge and you get shut down there, it can be so hard to recontest because there's so many different angles that you can be shot from. There's so many different angles that Milos can defend from. So it's going to be interesting to see what path Orion want to take. Currently, from what I can see Meowers and Fungasm going up onto that wee high ground, not the castle, but the wee high ground to the left of the castle. We'll see how the split push maybe works for them.
Pauses is always really funny because everyone just like stops and then tries to figure out what to do next, and then like you suddenly alter used immediately after the pause, and we're back in the game. You can think of it, Orion just reconvening on this high ground over here. They looks like they're going to try and get this like combined push into the castle and out into the double shield, as you can see here. Nice little suck there from Illusion, however, pulls up some of the team, so it looks like they're going to have to go back into the castle and try it again. However, Milos are waiting for them on top of the castle.
Yeah, this is it. This is a good rotation for Orion. However, Milos has so much information purely about where Orion's going to be. But with Meowers taking out Savan early, even with the Riz, Meowers can then find the Mercy. Fluxes on both sides. Doesn't lead to too much, but then Savan does manage to finish off Ro with that duplicated Reinhardt. This duplicated Reinhardt gets taken out quickly, but not quick enough that the rest of Milos do manage to clear out Orion.
And it seems like in all the maps we've watched so far, this is what we've been given. Orion comes out on this new and improved comp, and what happens with this new and improved comp is that they manage to kind of roll through Milos for the first few seconds of the game. However, Milos, once they see the composition and figure out how it works, they manage to kind of adapt to it and adapt to the playstyle without changing too much in their composition, which is a really admirable thing to be able to do. As I say this, Orion are charging through the castle in order to get to this payload.
Yeah, and they really want to get there. They just need to use that speed that they've been executing so well. The Fortify shuts down Arctic Wolf's charge. However, Fungism and Meowers both punching two people out of this fight and into spawn again. And now it is just going to be a little bit of PJ stall here. The rest of the team has fallen. Regrouping, trying to go high ground.
And here comes Jackal's Cassidy with his Deadeye. He's on the high ground, but he's getting pushed by a Reinhardt. Does he? They get duo-shattered. That is so unlucky. That is unfortunate. Oh, the immortality lamp from halfway across the map somehow saves them. They're still alive. There's no way. Someone give Little Too Easy a raise, man. Oh,
what was that? Little Too Easy literally clutched it up for Jackal and all looked lost because of a really mean shatter. They managed to clutch it up in that last second, and now it's going to be Fungasm and Ro just desperately trying to find some kind of value with this last minute stall. The amplification matrix from the high ground from a little too easy. Once again showing us they know how to use this Baptiste so dang well. What a round.
That's got to be the best Baptiste player I've seen in a while.
Yeah.
And I mean, just that throw. That throw was amazing from Little Too Easy. I think it was halfway across the map. He wasn't even near them. Or maybe he was like on the other side of bridge or something. But I need to see a replay of that to kind of just reconvene what happened in my head. The Cassidy and the Mercy both double shattered. And, you know, you think the fight is over from there for Arctic Wolf, you know, because he shatters the two key components, I would say, of composition of Stylo Milos. But, you know, Little So Easy just saves them, and then, oh my goodness, it just goes downhill from there. So now, Orion didn't manage to crack second. Can they defend first?
That's the real question here. Are they able to shut down Milos's push here and see whether they can make sure that they can't go any further than where they've pushed to? That's really the goal here for Orion, and it looks like they're opting for a Bastion defense with a Bastion pharmacy. This is going to be very interesting defense because it's going to make it hard for the team to push through. But if they do manage to collapse onto you, you're probably not going to be able to live for too long.
Yeah, we see the countdown going down. A pharmacy is out from Yowers. Just what I was hoping for. This might be the last stand. The pharmacy, the Bastion, it's all coming together. And this comp looks utterly disgusting on the side of Orion. And look, this Milos has seen this comp, and they've immediately switched up. They're like, oh well, we better undive into this, I guess.
I respect the call. Yeah, just jump onto that Bastion, make sure they don't do anything. It's just going to be making sure this Pharah doesn't find you whilst you're trying to initiate that dive. And already, Meow is pumping so much damage through with these rockets, just playing around this high ground. It's working out well so far, and it's just making them really uncomfortable in how they're going to push. They just don't know what the right way to do it is. Jackal and PJ in the backline. Illusion trying to go straight to point here. It's just a messy push.
Yeah, and little Hammond in the backline of PJ is just doing a little bit of disrupting. That's what their job is. And the rest of Stylo Milos have to figure out how to get onto the Bastion without getting absolutely burst down, and also get rid of that immortality here. I mean, personally, I would recommend almost not a Tracer here, or not an Echo here, sorry, but maybe an Ashe or a Hanzo. Just something that will give you some more leverage over it. And as I said, PJ jumps on the point and gets absolutely just destroyed.
Yeah, when you've got a Bastion burning you in the face when you pile drive, you can't do too much there, and that's exactly what we saw. Itzy making good work out of the Bastion, just making sure that there's no point progress and this timer goes down.
Yeah, the timer almost halfway done, and the Pharmacy Bastion strategy is holding true. This Pulse Bomb is up for Jackal, so maybe we could see a little bit of a stick action. However, a reminder, we do have res. Oh, as I say that, Etsy just takes Savan out of the air, and that's got to hurt for this Pharah.
And that's where you can't even counter the Bastion and Pharmacy with Pharah, because the Bastion can just burn you out of the sky. Savan now does finally take Meowers out, but will the res come through from Ro? It looks like no, because Ro is getting pressured down by Savan. Jackal manages to take out Ro. Itzy now just popping this configuration tank here, takes the Pharmacy out for themselves, and this defense looks like it's going to be held once again.
Oh, Illusion manages to get back into the mech behind them, and now Illusion has a little bit of a foothold in the point, but it looks like the order was given for Stylo Milos to just kind of pull out. So they're going to pull out, they're going to try it again. Meanwhile, this Bastion composition holding strong. Once again, kind of a disgusting one. And if Stylo Milos can't pop this point, they're going to be in a little bit of tilt.
Yeah, especially if that means we're going to go to a map 5. That Mental might struggle for the control. We'll see how effectively this defense works right now, though, with 3 ultimates on the line here. We've got that supercharger, we got the rocket barrage, we got the Valkyrie, so you could find a lot of value here. Immortality's come out early. The minefield doesn't connect onto too much. This defensive hold, however, it might not be looking so good, even with all the ults. Funkasm's all that's left to try and keep the stall going, but Savan just takes some names, and finally, this defense is unlocked.
A little bit of an interesting Valkyrie choice there from ASR, as the fight had already finished. Maybe just a victory cry, you know? That literally throws himself off the map to get a better spawn. Well, I'm assuming that's what happened. And he just didn't feel like jumping off the map, but Now, that's a good first point crack by Stylo Milos, and Savan still has this barrage. Meanwhile, working against this Bastion ulti, I mean, they've got to do something about that, and that's why Jackal's Pulse Bomb comes in. You can just see Etsy on the high ground here, trying to beam them down. Oh, and he gets off.
Oh, Savan just getting absolutely beamed by Etsy right there. That's where Bastion just works so well. You take that high ground and you just have a clean sightline of anyone, and Etsy's making fine work of it, even though Illusion is making some of those bullets in Illusion by eating them up with the defense matrix. Not going to be much value when two rocket barrages from both sides. Meowers looks up and says, no more rocket barrage for you, Savan. But this payload is still tracking along for Milos here.
Yeah, and whilst all that commotion was going on, Jackal and PJ were in the back line, kind of distracting Orion a little bit, which is probably why Orion couldn't come to the aid of their Pharah. And so now Meowers makes this swap off to the Soldier, so there is a double hit scan going on a little bit for Orion, but it does not matter right now because Milo are just pumping through them. Helios gets taken down here, and there's not much left here for Orion in this point to hold. Bastion gets hit with a Biotic Grenade, and that's a nice set of rockets onto PJ. However, he gets traded out, and Savan also gets a clean kill, so now it is the last push for the Milos.
This is Stress One with that, with that boop onto Arctic Wolf. Now it's just down to Ro and Helios to desperately try and find some kind of value. The Valking Mercy is not going to be enough, and that is going to be Milos. Kind of strangely pushing it through that second point. That felt like some very messy fights going on at the end. No regroup call ever really happened. And I think that was, like you said, with Jackal and PJ sort of harassing the backline, they never got a chance to fully regroup and regroup, even though they got some kind of semi-fight works.
Yeah, and the point of a Bastion composition is to make sure you're protecting the Bastion at all times, right? And if the Bastion gets dived on, then the whole team needs to kind of just move back and cover the Bastion. If you don't do that, you lose all your damage, and then it's kind of just over, right? And because, you know, Orion couldn't do that and they were getting harassed from two fronts, it was just an easier win for Milos to just kind of roll through. I mean, overall, I think what we can take away from the series is that Milos was just a better adaptable team, and they were able to kind of adapt to whatever Orion threw at them, even though Orion was throwing a lot of curveballs. We saw a bunch of Doomfist, we saw a Junkrat. You know, we saw the Bastion and Pharah in the last map, and unfortunately it nearly worked. It actually nearly worked. They got brought to overtime on first point, or nearly overtime on first point, I believe. But yeah, I think just at the end of the day, Milos were just better.
Yeah, Milos absolutely showing us that they managed to, even through all the goofy strats that Orion was throwing at them, they were able to just kind of execute their plans properly. And that's something that they were sort of talking about in their notes here. You know, they've come back, they went 1-4 as Andromeda, and now with this new team rejig, this new regroup, they're hoping that they'll demolish their previous record. Well, they've already added one win to their record, so if they can continue this playstyle up through the season and through these next few weeks, they should be able to do really well for themselves.
Yeah, most definitely. I mean, it'll be a pleasure watching these teams kind of play and improve over the weeks, because that's what this tournament's all about, you know. It's just improvement constantly. And so, but it's good to see some great Overwatch today, you know, some better than others, but you know, it's a relatively close game, so I'll take that as a win.
Absolutely right. Thank you all for coming out and watching. We've had two very exciting games today. We started off watching Divide Overflow versus Lag Pixies, and then we just watched Stylo Milos versus Allstars Orion. Two very fun games, 3-0 to Divide Overflow and 3-1 to Stylo Milos here. And we just want to say a big thank you to everyone who came out to watch the matches today. Thank you to all our players who participate. Thank you, Kerr, for joining me in the cast, and of course big thank you to our event producers, AOESports, which is Bloodborne, Gat and Papadaka, Koalas Esports, big shout out to Sdogga and Bees. Our event coordinators are of course Papadaka, Sdogga and Bees. Our streamer for the night was Sdogga. Your casters were myself and Kerr. The stream technical assistants of Gat, Temporalic and Sdogga Man, and then of course a big special thanks to our patrons. You guys are what continue to help us keep these streams alive. And of course a special thanks to AOE, Gat, Papadaka, KE, the players. and everyone else in the KE community and everyone watching the stream. We will see you all next week for some more Overwatch gameplay.